Okay, great. Well, welcome in everyone to our June 19, 2024 session of Learning from Cured Cases. I'm Marcy Mearns, and I'm really happy to have everyone here with me today. This is the last in this series for this year. If you enjoy these, be sure and let people know so we can bring them back for another season. I really have a lot of fun preparing these for you. Okay, and the way this is going to work, I've got two cases for you today, and I'm going to basically go through these one at a time. The case number 2 is a short little case, and it's really going to build off what we do in the first one. And what I'm going to ask you to do is, if you have a question or a comment, I will pause periodically and encourage you to, speak up and ask your question. Try and mute yourself otherwise. And if you want to chat something, you can do that as well. And we'll try and get to everybody. Okay. It's 4:03 p.m. here in California, my time. So just a couple minutes after the hour. I'm going to go for an hour and 15 minutes. Okay. And we're going to make it work. Hopefully you can all stick around that long. And I also want to say, for those who may not be able to stay the entire time, you can reach out to our support team, and I think you can get like the handouts and stuff that I have, and this recording should be posted somewhere. And you can always find me online. And in fact, in a bit of self-promotion, I'm going to do that right now. So this is, you'll see on your screen, that's my website, Chico Homeopathy. I do training for homeopaths, case supervision, all that kind of stuff. So if you want to find me for one-on-ones or small groups, there I am. Okay, so let's get started. And our first case is actually a case of case, Erastus case. And if you've been with me for any of these other sessions, you know that we usually start out talking a little bit about the person. I'm going to skip that because we're going to have our reference points for our master teacher included in the talk. Okay, so this is a case called indentations on the fingers. A woman aged 47 years in giving her symptoms stated that after using scissors, the indentations made upon the fingers remained a long time. Upon careful examination, in no instance asking a question which could be answered by yes or no, these symptoms were elicited. Okay, let's go. And I have numbered these for our convenience. They were not numbered in the case report, but this is the order in which the symptoms are given. Sensation as if the heart was suspended and working in water. Epistaxis attended by vertigo. Intolerance of clothing around the waist. Burning heat in the cheeks with sensation as if they would burst. Menses early, profuse, dark, and coagulated. Leukorrhea like uncooked white of egg, very corrosive. Stiffness in the muscles of the neck. Pain between the shoulders compelling to sit erect. And numbness of the extremities at night. Now, I created for us one of these little maps in which I arranged the symptoms. And when I did so, what I discovered is the order in which our teacher, Dr. Case, gave us these symptoms really somewhat there's a logical order to these, which we will see as we go forward. So this is just another way of looking at those symptoms. And what I tried to do here, what you'll see, is identify let's say the body part or how we might think about looking at these symptoms in the repertory. Now, if this is your first time, just to let you know, my goal is to basically walk you through how I would imagine if I were handed this case based on my understanding of this teacher's methodology. How would I repertorize this case? How would I use the tools available to come up with the remedy? Okay, so that's what we're going to do, and we're going to explore different ways of finding symptoms as well as arranging the symptoms going forward. Okay, so the first thing we want to do is look back, reviewing Dr. Case's advice himself. So this is a review. His first rule is, other things being equal, give preference to a mental symptom rather than a bodily one. That's pretty much, we all know that, right? And then rule number 2, well, let's look at rule number 1. So in indentations on the fingers, do we have any mentals? No. Okay, so we can pretty much ignore his rule number 1, and we're going to go to rule number 2, which is, if there is no peculiar mental symptom, use the most peculiar bodily one. All right, so let's take a look again. What is peculiar here? Now, I like to ask if anybody wants to take a stab at what they think is especially peculiar here in this case before I just reveal where I'm going to go. Anybody want to say anything about what seems to be the most peculiar or characteristic symptom that we have?
Number 1.
Right, sensation as if the heart was suspended in and working in water. It turns out that the way he writes up these cases pretty much gives you the order of thinking, which is nice, because if we don't know where we are, or we've got a case of our own like this, we read enough of these, we begin to see how to organize our thinking. So yeah, very good. This, in my way of thinking, now nowhere does he say this is the most peculiar, but clearly I think we can all agree this sensation is the heart was suspended and working in water. So now the job becomes translating that symptom into something that we can repertorize. Okay, so I'm going to go to my Radar Opus program, and this is not so much, how would you say it? I'm not going to go step by step by step by step with the repertorization. I'm assuming that you've done some basic repertorizing already. If you haven't, we have some great like getting started videos, and I do some of those beginner courses from time to time. So we're just going to get in here and basically bang it out, okay? But follow along, because there's going to be some interesting stuff. So I'm going to open my table of contents for repertories. And the one I like to use is Adonis repertory. So I'm just going to choose it here from my favorites, which are at the top of the list there. And what was it we said? Look, this already, my mind is gone. Heart and water. Okay, so remember what I did here? Heart. Where's the heart? Located in the repertory. Well, it's in the chest, right? So let's just go ahead and we're going to type our way there as though we knew what we were doing. Chest. Okay, let's try it again. How about is that even active? There we go. There's my chest chapter. And, I honestly don't know where to look. So I'm just going to go water, sensation of. Look at that. Voila. And we're going to dump straight in. And what I have here is a rubric, water, sensation of, with several sub-rubrics, right? As if heart were in water, in chest, sensation of water. So there's a lot of watery stuff. This is a technique that I don't show you very often, but from time to time, I think it's useful. So I want to go ahead and do it here. I'm actually going to use the take window, or the take screen. So if you see up here at the very top where it says take in the top menu, and I'm going to select take and specify the option. That's the function F6 key, and it's going to open up this take window. Now here's what I want to do. The idea being, this is a really important symptom, so I don't want to miss anything. I don't want to restrict myself too terribly much at this point in time. So that symptom, chest water sensation of, actually is an empty symptom. See, there's nothing there, but there are sub-rubrics. So here's what we're going to do. When I open up this take a symptom window, notice that clipboard 1 is checked. That's great. That's the one I want to use. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to choose down here to group the symptoms. I'm going to say add this rubric to a group with all remedies. Okay, I'm going to specify the letter for the group. And then also take also all the sub-rubrics with all the rubrics individually. All in a group with all remedies. That's the one I want. Okay, so I'm going to take the main symptom, which is where the little hand is pointing, chest, water sensation of, and then I'm also going to get all these sub-rubrics and all of their remedies grouped into one. Now, let's see what that group looks like. Okay, so let's just do the take. Voila. So now with any luck, let's see what we got. Beautiful. Okay. This is, you see that this is a group symptom here because they're all designated by the small letter A, just like I asked them to do. And if you take a look at the order of the remedies here, the results, if you will, at this point, we are looking at the analysis strategy, which is called sum of symptoms sorted by degrees. And according to the computer right now, I've got just one symptom, which is what I wanted. I've actually got just one symptom with, let's see, I'm going to slide over here with 22 remedies. And sure enough, if I look down here in the lower left-hand corner, the program tells me I've got 10 symptoms comprising 22 remedies. But in fact, for the purpose of repertorization, these are all being treated as just one symptom. Okay. So what I did is I just wanted to get everything that had anything to do with the sensation of water in the chest to make sure that we don't lose the significance of that symptom in this case. Okay, so let's go back to our presentation here. And yeah, there we go. I took a little screenshot of that. Again, so if you want to get these handouts, you can go through this later. And I used the take with options or F6 screen. You'll see how it's laid out here on this slide. And we have 22 remedies grouped together now. Okay. So far, so good. So there goes our first symptom for the heart, indentations in the fingers, and we have that heart suspended and working in water. Can we draw a conclusion at this point? Not at all. Okay. So let's go to the next thing. And, oh, here we go. Now, let's figure out why I put this slide in here where I did. A common symptom by concomitance may become characteristic. This is Dr. Case's rule number 3. So you remember we did the rule number 2, which was what? The peculiar bodily one. Okay. So the next thing is a symptom by concomitance may become characteristic. Let's see further. Oh, you know what? I went into my Yasgur's dictionary and I just love the fact that this is in the program now. So I was able to look up the definition of a concomitant symptom, existing or occurring concurrently. Okay. And he even states in his dictionary, Yasgur's dictionary here, the combination of a common symptom with a concomitant may evolve to become a characteristic symptom. Isn't that's exactly what Dr. Case said? So here we have our concomitant of the epistaxis attended by vertigo. Great concomitant symptom, isn't it? And it makes sense then that he's listing this as the second symptom in our list of symptoms. So, let's go back and see how we found that. I got ahead of myself. Okay. Now, if you recall, what I like to do is put my symptoms on different clipboards so I can kind of keep track of what the case is looking like. So that first clipboard was set as our default. You see the little green check mark. Now to set the next clipboard as the default, if I press and hold the Option key on my Mac keyboard and then I click that clipboard, this now becomes the default clipboard. I could always drag to that clipboard, but we're going to go ahead and designate it this way for reasons that may become obvious. And what did we say? We had nose epistaxis accompanied by vertigo. Uh-oh, nothing there. But we have this cross-reference and it wants us to go to vertigo accompanied by epistaxis. Kind of a shrimpy, not such a big rubric, is it? But let's go ahead. Now, the point of having this one designated as the default clipboard is that I can use my equal key on my keyboard. If you've been familiar with those keyboard shortcuts in the upper right-hand corner where it's a plus and an equal, if I just press that equal key now, it's going to throw that symptom. See how it did that right onto the clipboard. So I've now got my group. This is one symptom, right? The water in the chest. And then this next one is my vertigo accompanied by epistaxis or the nosebleed. Okay. And you'll notice now that our analysis is giving us, if we want to look at how to interpret these numbers here, 1, 2, 3 remedies, which appear in what the program is telling me are 2 symptoms. The first clipboard, since it's grouped together, is 1 symptom, and then the vertigo with epistaxis, that concomitant symptom, is the second one. So we've got aconite, borax, and bovista, right? And then the rest of these all are just appearing in either one or the other of our symptoms, okay? So chugging along, let's see. There we go. 15 remedies. Okay, so I got a little screenshot, and you'll notice, yeah, where did I see that 15 remedies? When I click on just that one clipboard down here in the lower left-hand corner, 1 symptom with 15 remedies. Okay, I'm trying to give you that info for a reason as we go along here, which shall become obvious, I hope. Okay, so there we go. We got the heart, we got the nose. Now, the next thing, I didn't know what to do, because here's this person with what I consider to be a rather common occurrence, intolerance of clothing around the waist. And then also this heat in the cheeks with this sensation as if they would burst. So what I decided to do, and time will tell if this was a good way to go or not. Let me bring up my list of rubrics here, okay? Because I'm going to work this out for you as we go along. I decided to group these together because they have a similar sensation, which is that expanded quality, okay? And of course, the burning heat in the cheeks, we could look just at that, but it's that idea of something expanding, about to burst, right? So let us see what we want to do with this. I'm going to go back to my repertory. Oh, and I'm going to remember to designate this now clipboard number 3, press and hold Option and select. See, that's my default clipboard now. And what I want is, I'm just going to go for the swollen cheeks. Face, swelling, cheeks. It's not rocket science, is it? There's a great rubric. Okay, and if I hit the plus sign, bam, there it is. I don't need to go into any more detail. And let's look at the sensitivity to clothing in the abdomen, okay? So again, from here, if I know where I want to go, I just have to type abdomen, clothing sensitive to. I'm pretty sure that's it. Enter. Oh, oops, sensitive clothing to. Okay. Aha. One of my favorite kind of rubrics, the red dot, the Kunzli dot, which lets me know in Kunzli's system and repertory, if your patient has this symptom, your remedy is likely to appear in this rubric. Now, can you take that to the bank? No, but when it works, it works. So let's go ahead and take this rubric as well. Just use a plus. It's going to go right onto that same clipboard. And I'll show you what I often do just so I can remember it's a Kunzli dot is I'll usually just give it I'll just give it 2 underlines. You see what I did there? I'm typing the number 1 now, so it's back to 1 underline. If I want to underline a symptom to give it some emphasis, I just type a 2, or I could even give it a 5, and it gives 5 underlines. And you see that my analysis is changing a bit. I just got to give it 2. That just reminds me that that's that Kunzli dot, and I would very much love for my remedy to be in that rubric. But since I'm in a bit of a, I'm being a bit extravagant here, shall we say, with my selection of symptoms, I'm actually going to combine these 2 into one single rubric, because what I'm looking for here is nothing more than that expansion sensation, right? This is me doing my interpretation, and, you know, hopefully that's going to get us somewhere. So to group these 2, now you remember we had that group earlier where we used the take window and all of that. This is how I would normally group my rubrics together. Once I've selected both of these, I can right click and in this little menu comes up the option group or combine rubrics. So I'm going to group or combine, and I am now going to completely ignore the bottom half where it says combine. Not a fan, don't like to do that. Why? Because in a nutshell, my rubrics are going to disappear and I'm going to have some new invention, which I really don't want. I just want to be able to see them, but have them considered as one symptom. Okay, that expansiveness. So group, add them to a group with all remedies, and I've got to select a letter of the alphabet. Now I already selected A, right? So let me go to B. All right, just so that the program knows those are two different groups. And when I continue, you'll see now that the letter B is here for these two. And interestingly enough, even though Argentum nitricum only appears in one of the two rubrics, because this is a group now. Now that says two. Why? Because I gave the extra underline there. I'm going to remove the confusion. Argentum nitricum is ever so possible in this scenario as Bovista or Crawdalus cascavella or any other rubric, or even Crawdalus horridus we have down here. Oh, or one of these. Anyway, you get the idea. These two are being considered now as one rubric together. Do we have any questions as we buzz along here 90 miles an hour? Okay. Hearing none, I shall proceed. So this, I took these two together. Not because the abdomen and the face are in the same location by any means, but with that sensation of expansion. And I have to say, this was a bit of interpretation on my part. Okay. I called it swelling and bursting. And there's a screenshot for you. Okay. So, you know, truth be told, because I said I was stretching the envelope here, just a minute. Let's do this. This is what I would do if I were working up the case again myself, is I would take clipboard number 1, because I do want my remedy to be somewhere in this group. I would take clipboard number 2, and then this clipboard number 3, I probably would actually just notice I'm highlighting both of those by using that. I use the command key on my keyboard to select multiple items. I would probably zero those out. So they're still there, but they're not having anything to do with the analysis. Why? Because, as I said, I was doing a bit of speculating. So there are a lot of ways you can go in this analysis. We're still going to get there in the long run. Okay, let's get back to it. So there's the swelling and bursting. And, oh, okay. Here's why I really had to like scratch my head. And I kind of went outside of what Dr. Case talked about. So you remember Margaret Tyler? She's the one who said you were supposed to read a remedy every night before you go to bed. All right. So in her suggestion for hierarchy of symptoms and grading of symptoms, of course, she agrees about the mental symptoms. Second in grade are such general symptoms of the patient. Times and seasons, heat and cold, blah, 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 right? Now, let's take a look at those symptoms again. Oh, then she says number 3, next important, comes in women, the menstrual state. Okay, now let's go back to the list of symptoms. Oh, well, voila, look at this. He actually puts the menstrual state next in line, because we really don't have generals in this case either, do we? Other than maybe you could say that bloating or swelling sensation. It's not really a generality per se. But in any event, Margaret Tyler has so drawn our attention to the fact that the menstrual state in women is extremely important, especially if the general aggravation of the symptoms comes around the time of the menses. And then she says, of lower rank comes the question of menses, early, late, and excessive. Okay, well, you know, these are of lower rank, but they're there. Okay, so let me see what I did next. Oh, okay. I actually highlighted some stuff here. We've got menses early, profuse, dark and coagulated. That's very characteristic of the menses, isn't it? We have leukorrhea, and as we know, there are many different types of leukorrhea. So this is a good descriptor of the kind of leukorrhea we have and that it's very corrosive. Okay, so let's go to our program, and I'm going to get a new default clipboard. I'm going to go into the repertory, and what am I looking for here? Yeah, I'm just going to go straight into the female, and we can bang this out. Menses early. Too early, right? There it is. Huge rubric. Boom. All I do is press 1, and there, it throws it right in there for me. But let's go ahead and just humor me. We're going to get them all in there. So we got the early. Now, all I have to do is hit the delete key or the backup key, and it opens up that navigation window right where I was before. So I'll hit backspace again. Now I'm back to female genitalia, menses, and I wanted copious. Menses copious. Well, now that's hardly a useful rubric, is it? 492, but I'm going to take it anyway just for fun. Okay. Now, backspace to bring back that menu, and we have menses dark. Yeah. Ooh, that's better. Let's take that one. See, they're all going in here now into this menses clipboard, or female, I should say. Yeah, this is the menses. Now, what else we got? Oh, dark with clots, a subrubric. Look at that. It's only got 11 remedies. Shall we take it? Absolutely. So the little hand is pointing now there. So all I got to do is use the plus sign. But I've also got a cross reference here. It says clotted dark clots. Let's double click. Oh, that's even better. 54. I dare say our remedy better be in that rubric. Yeah, I'm going to take it. Okay. So here we now have everything that our prescriber has told us about the menses. And I'm going to show you what I did like immediately. I said menses copious. That's ridiculous. It's too big a rubric. So I'll leave it there, but I just type a 0. So it's no longer part of the equation, right? Let me repeat that. So here it is, the way I just took it with 1 underline. But you see, whenever I highlight the rubric and then type a number, I could right click and go through this thing and say change intensity to 0. I could go through all that, but I can also just type a 0. And now the system says you've only got 4 rubrics. On the other hand, this one, menses with dark clots, that only has 11 remedies, it's too small to be of any significance at all. I don't want to get rid of it, but I'm just going to 0 it out. This is what I would do because I want to feel pretty good about how I've characterized the menses. So they're too early, they're dark, and they've got dark clots. Okay, let's just leave that for now. That's our menses clipboard. And now I actually going to do the leukorrhea on another one. Okay, so this is, now I'm in the female chapter, and I'm just using the delete key to back up. And I'm going to go to my leukorrhea. And what is it? Acrid. Excoriating. Beautiful. So let's take that one. We could also cross it with irritating if we wanted, but you know what? This is a nice size rubric, right? And look right over here to the right is albuminous. That's what we want, which is the, how did he describe it? Egg white like? I'm not sure how he described it, but let's go ahead and take that one. We'll look back at that in a minute. So on this clipboard right here, we should have that patient's remedy, because look at the size of these rubrics. I usually like to work between 50 and 150, no more than that. Depending on the case. Everything depends on the case, but so far so good. Yeah. I'm going fast because I want to leave time to make sure we get all the way through this thing and we have time for the second case. Okay. So there's our menses. There's our leukorrhea. Let's see what the, oh, let's go back and look at these clipboards. You see that screenshot? This is what I did earlier. There's clipboard 4 and clipboard 5. And together, there are 613 remedies. So let's just look at them together for a minute. There's clipboard 4, there's clipboard 5. All together, even by zeroing these out, it says that I need to consider, just with these female symptoms, 613 remedies. So I'm scrolling now out here to the right. Long ways out, right? Looks like I've sort of reached the end of the rope for the leukorrhea. Okay. Like, how useful is that really? Not very. Okay. Obviously, when I bring in some of the other symptoms, we'll be able to make more sense out of this. But I just wanted to point out the magnitude of our selections yet. This has not really helped us characterize much of anything. So let's see what I said about that. I think what I did, oh yeah. Okay. Here's what I did. You see the difference in this screenshot here with 613 and in this screenshot where it's down to 20. Now this is where it gets a little tricky and I don't want to, I don't want to stumble all over myself, but you see how these are green and they have a big green dot. Let's go look at that. So this is where I say to myself, all right, which symptom do I absolutely need to have in order to solve the case, if you will. And I would argue in this case, if I had to choose one or two of these symptoms here, I like the menses with dark clots, right? And what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn that into a filter or an eliminative rubric. This is just for the sake of discussion here, but I want to show you how I do that. So I just highlight the rubric. And when I right click again, you'll see down here, there's a prompt that says change qualification, and I can select. Now watch what happens when I select, whoops, let's do that again. So right now we have this order, okay? You see the order of things here. Like you see sepia is there, right? And you see creosote is there, okay? When I right click and change that rubric into an eliminative, okay, it's turned green, there's a dot, and every remedy, see sepia disappeared, creosote disappeared. Why? Because they were not included in this rubric. So this, we've basically eliminated all possibilities other than remedies that appear in that rubric. And we've gone down now to 54 remedies. Now, if I really wanted to be picky, I could say, look, I also want the excoriating leukorrhea. This is what I did in my example. So if I right click here, let's just walk through it again, change that to an eliminative, bang. I have really choked things off, haven't I? I'm now down to 20 remedies to consider. I probably do not want to do this in this case, but this is an example to show you how you can use that eliminative function. In fact, but let's turn this one back. Let's turn them both back. Let's just do it by turning it into a normal rubric again. See, now everybody's there that was eliminated before, and it's no longer green and all of that. So we're just going to change these back to normal, but it's a really useful tool and we'll probably apply it at the end of the day. Okay, so that was a little sidebar example situation. So we're just about there, right? We've got most of our symptoms and I'm just throwing them on the clipboards really at this point in time. This last set has to do with some musculoskeletal issues, right? Now, can we solve the case without these? Probably. But when we're trying to learn, usually the cases are given, in a conference or whatever, and they're not going to throw a curveball at you. They're going to give you the stuff you need. So let's see what we can learn by looking at these. And for some reason, I have that one twice. Isn't that interesting? Okay. Aha. Neck or back? Yeah, that's the next big item. Have we got any questions while I'm shuffling about here? Okay, I'm assuming you guys are all still there. Let us go to our neck stiffness. Let's see what does the prescriber say again? Neck stiffness in muscles of the neck. So the point I want to make here is where to find that, right? Is it in the neck? Is it in the back? What is it? And Yay, someone has chatted something. Oh, all good. Lauren, thank you. I appreciate that. Good, good. I forgot to say, don't try and follow along because I'm going to go way too fast. So stiffness in the neck. Where are we going to look? Well, if I don't know, I'm obviously going to start in the neck. So let's do that and see what happens. Now, from here, again, just doing my typing routine, since I know what chapter I want, I'll just go N, E, there we go, NE for neck, hit enter, stiffness, enter, enter. Beautiful. Look at that, stiff neck, 117 remedies, makes me happy. I moved my default clipboard over here, so I just have to take that. But I gotta say, we should not be fooled by neck stiffness. We also need to look in another place. So if you didn't know this, well, you'll know it now, but I'm going to use the function F5 key, which is going to bring me to if you know me, you know I love the advanced search. Okay, function, not happy. People, what happened here? Let me see if I can get this thing to go away. Ay, ay, ay. I've had this happen before, and eventually it kind of settles itself down. It just takes a minute. Ah, there we go. Okay. Function F5 will get you the advanced search. And what I'm going to do over here in this first search field is I'm going to look for the neck and stiff. Okay. So I'm just going to put the first word as neck, enter, enter. Whoops. And did I write neck properly? Yeah, I did. Enter, enter. Now, remember my trick. Everything turns blue. I got a blue check. I got a blue dot. It's offering me a second word. I'm going to put stiffness, enter, enter. Now, I do not want to search in all documents. See this button up here? All I really want to do right now is search in all open repertories. I'm trying to make this easy on myself. I don't want to spend time looking at books I don't care about. And what I'm looking for is these two words basically in the same paragraph. That's the default. So let's see what happens. Search in all open repertories for stiff neck. And here's what I have. Obviously head pain and all that we don't care about. Here's neck stiffness. Okay, we took that one already, but look down here. Equally interesting, we have stiffness in the cervical region, nape of the neck. Now, would you know what's meant? Which one we should use? I certainly don't. Let's go to that symptom. Let's look at it. Back, stiffness, cervical region, nape of neck. If I'm not sure, I'm not going to limit myself to one or the other. Let's see what happens. I'm going to go ahead and take this one. Let's look at the clipboard. Now, here's the interesting thing. Remember how we can look down here in the lower left-hand corner? It says you've got 2 symptoms with 182 remedies. Great. Are these basically the same rubric, or are they something very different? Well, let's have a look. I'm going to slide out to the right here. So far, as I go down the list here, I've got 56 remedies that appear in both of these rubrics out of a total of 182. So if I keep going, I've got 182 remedies. Are you going to tell me which stiff neck I should use when I'm going to eliminate one or the other of these possibilities? No. So the correct thing from my point of view to do here is to take both of these and just lump them together. Remember how we do that in a group? So I'm going to select one, press and hold the command. So I select both of those at the same time, right click, group or combine. Paying attention to the first setup here. Remember I said A, B. So I'm just going to use D just to make sure I didn't overlap myself. Let's combine those two. Okay. Now you can see that now we'll see here, burrito carb, and it is just as likely to be included in my repertorization as belladonna, bryonia, or any of these others. And so this is just an example of how careful we need to be about selecting the proper symptom. because we don't want to leave any possibilities off the table, right? Too soon. Eventually, we're going to have to make some decisions, but we don't want our improper repertorization to take something off the table too soon, right? Okay, let's see where we are. Okay, that's neck or back. So we talked about that. We went through all of that, and we found indeed that we can either use the neck chapter or the back chapter, or both, better yet. Now let's have a look at the shoulder situation. Shoulders between. If you want to find shoulders, okay, let's do the same exercise. Let's go with the function F5. Now, how do I clear this out? I'm just going to double click. Let's look for the word shoulder. Oops. Got to have all the letters, right? Shoulder. There we go. Enter. And searching in open repertories only. Let's look for shoulder. Okay. Well, we got a lot of stuff we don't care about here, but the main thing I want to point out about the shoulders is when it comes to shoulders between, they're all in the back chapter. So you might say, well, what about shoulders and extremities? Yeah, lots of extremities shoulders. But if I put, let's go back and put the other word, between, B-E-T-W-E-N. There we go. If I'm looking for shoulder between, it's all in the back chapter, the dorsal region. Okay. So here's another place where you can get to, well, here's a couple of shoulders between in extremities, but not very many, right? Kind of silly. Fluttering between the shoulders. What the? Oh, okay. Well, let's just give Cuprum. Just kidding. Okay, you get the idea there. We are actually then going to put our shoulders. This was the neck. Here go the shoulders right there. And let's go back here. And what do we have? Oh, back pain dorsal region. Is that the symptom? Let's look. Back pain dorsal region. Where's the actual symptom? Pain between the shoulders, compelling to sit erect. Aha. All right. Let's go there and see what we can do. Back. Pain. Whoops. Can I put shoulders? Nope, not getting anywhere, am I? I have to go dorsal region, shoulders between. Okay, there's back pain, shoulders between. Kind of a useless little rubric, isn't it? And they also have scapula between. So you know what? Let's go ahead and take this one. Let's look at scapula between. Oh, that's more like it, isn't it? Between the scapula, that'll do. And then lo and behold, now sometimes if I get too many remedies here and I can't see without, I can travel through the repertoire using these up and down arrow keys. See how the little hand is moving? But what I actually found was, I'll just turn off the remedies display. See this pill bottle up here? I can turn it off for just a minute. So all I see are the symptoms without the remedies. Scapula between, and I actually have a sitting, I have a modality for this. Remember, it was sitting ameliorates. I'm never going to get there that way. Let me turn those remedies back on. Let's bring back our navigation window. I'll just hit the delete key, bring back the navigation window. Scapula between sitting. Remember it said if they had to sit up, sitting up ameliorates. Oh, that's a cute little rubric, isn't it? Let's just go ahead and take it anyway. Kind of useless, isn't it? Here's our scapula situation. We didn't get much with that modality of sitting up, did we? This is going to be the rubric we care about. These other two, they're cute, but they're kind of useless. So what I'm going to do right away before I go any further, I've highlighted them both. I'm just going to zero them out. They're there, they're nice, but I don't really care about them. Okay. I'd like my remedy to be somewhere in this rubric. That would be sweet, wouldn't it? because this is really where the pain is, where the patient says it's between my shoulders. In our repertories, we call that between the scapula. Okay. So let's see where we are. Oh, I've got the possibility of looking at the entire case now. I think we had one more symptom, but let's go ahead and see what we've got. Okay, so you'll want to take a look on your computer keyboard if you have not located already. On the Macintosh, it's the Command key, that little scrolly thing, which is right next to the space bar. And on your PC, I believe it's the little window key. So it's just one over from there. When you press and hold, or in other words, put your finger on that key and then select one of the clipboards, you've started. So actually that didn't go quite the way I wanted to. I'm going to select one, okay? Just clicked on it with my mouse. Now that I press and hold that Command key, I can bring up just one more clipboard. Let's bring up clipboard number 3. Now you see what I'm doing here? I'm just one at a time. As long as I have my finger on my Command key, I can basically what I call toggle on and toggle off. If I just say to myself, I don't want to see clipboard 1 anymore, let's take it out. I can just click it again. Up here, I'm clicking on the little keyboard icon and it's gone. Okay, so I can toggle on, toggle off. And what I want to do is I'm going to toggle on. Let's go ahead and toggle all of them. Now, this one is taking up a lot of real estate, isn't it, in my display? See this little triangle here just to the left where it says clipboard 1? I can flip that triangle and it just removes it from the display. It's not that it's gone, but it pulled it out of the display. So I've got 1, 2, 3. Let's take 4. Let's take clipboard 5. That's our leukorrhea. Clipboard 6. Again, I just keep turning that one off. Oh, I did something wrong. 5, 6. There we go. Okay. So how we doing, folks? What are we going to do with this patient? Oh, somebody's typed into Q&A. Wait, what Command key to toggle clipboards on and off? Well, I'll tell you that on my Mac laptop, it says Command. It has that little squiggly thing. And it's just located either to the right or the left. I have one on each side of my space bar. Okay. Hopefully you can see that. Yeah. On the PC, it is a key that is that's labeled, has like a little window thing on it, if I'm not mistaken. Somebody can check that out and correct me if I'm wrong there. We do have a handout for that too that you can ask for that has like your keyboard commands and stuff on it. Okay, so rocking and rolling here. We got the stiff neck. What am I missing? I think number 7. What's on clipboard 7? I'm going to have to make this just a tad smaller, as in zoom out so we can see everything. Yeah, that's the dorsal region. So, what are we going to give the patient here? Anybody want to like venture a guess here as to what we should do? How about pulsatilla? Is there any argument to be made for pulsatilla here, and why or why not? Just based on what you see. Let's see who's. It's Control key on Windows. Okay, great. Thanks, Shannon. Okay, no one's feeling brave today. Okay, how about ammonium carb? Would that be a great choice? I'm looking at this rubric right here. See this one? So I'm not even going to think about pulsatilla in this case. Why? No vertigo and epistaxis. Absolutely right, Paulette. We can immediately just stop thinking about pulsatilla, even if it fits in every other way our case, right? Now, what about what was happening here on clipboard number 1? let's go ahead. I'm going to bring it back so we can see it. It's been there and active the whole time. See, pulsatilla has that sensation of water in the chest, right? And what's the argument about borax? Does anybody want to venture an opinion here on borax? Because of the look at the female complaints here for borax. I'm going to right click and I'm going to highlight borax for you. Oops, that wasn't what I wanted to do, was it? Sorry. Let's try that again. Okay. Well, now it doesn't want to unhighlight. Sorry about that. I'll go back and pick them up again. And I'll try again. I'm going to right click and highlight this remedy. So where is borax falling off the map for people? Or is it? Because remember, it's there with the watery feeling in the chest. Yeah, as if the heart were in water. Look at that. Borax is perfect choice, right? Hello? Okay. So where I go off the map with borax, I'll tell you, look at this. Look at this stiff neck. Nothing. In all of those 56 remedies, nothing with the stiff neck. Yeah, we've got the pain between the scapula, but also we don't have the dark clots with the menses, right? And we also don't have sensitive to, remember this one that was the Kunzli dot? That's not there either. Okay, now you guys are chatting. Okay, yeah, no dark clots, doesn't cover the case, right? And it doesn't cover the case because we've modeled this case really well. I would venture to say we're missing just one symptom. So yeah, you guys are doing great. Let's go and let's remind ourselves, what's the last symptom that we had? Oh, before I do that, our last symptom is numbness of the extremities at night. Okay, that was our last symptom, and we didn't repertorize that, did we? So let's go in here right now. Let's go into the repertory and let's go extremities, numbness. No, Marcy, what are you doing? Oopsie, that's what happens when you get in a hurry. Extremities, numbness, night. Okay. There's our symptom. Now, I'm going to throw this on the last clipboard, and that's going to decide the case for us. I would like to go back for just a moment to this screen right here. In my view, when I look at these musculoskeletal symptoms in this group, the most standout or outstanding, if you will, of the three is the numbness of the extremities at night. So if I were working up this case and not following the order that they're given here, I would probably, and in fact, I did. I looked at the symptom first, numbness of the extremities at night. Now, what happened when I did that is I saw, oh my gosh, it's such a small rubric. Oh, but there's my remedy. Well, I'd better model this case a little differently. But just to give us a shortcut, if we take that one, there's our numbness in the extremities at night, along with that very characteristic first symptom that we had, what we called, the whatever we called it, and the second one as well. There's your remedy. Okay. Let's see what the prescriber has to say. I give you a list of the rubrics that I used and how I grouped them. You'll notice that this letter will indicate that they've been grouped. So again, if you get this handout, you can kind of go through this. Where I lined it out, those are the ones I zeroed out. All these symptoms are found under the same remedy, and she was quickly cured by 1 powder of Bovista. Any surprise there? It's a lot surprise until you take a look at the case. Okay. And I'm just going to collapse that again so we can see what else we've got. 1, 2. Bovista is here. in these key and important rubrics. It's also there in both of our swelling rubrics, which we zeroed out. We didn't even use those as part of our analysis, did we, at the end of the day? But there it is. Let's take that one out. 3, 4. Bovista is there with the menses. Look at that. Menses too early, menses dark clots. Remember I said that was one that I wanted to hang my hat on? There's the leukorrhea. It's got all kinds of leukorrhea, just like we wanted acrid as well as albuminous. Stiffness in the neck. Now, cervical region. If I had used neck stiffness by itself and hung my hat on that, I'd be in trouble, wouldn't I? Okay. But we did the right thing here by doing that grouping. Yeah. And so on and so forth. So this is a Bovista case by Erastus case. And let's see what he has to say. Now, you remember the methodology that we used was to look at the most peculiar symptoms, the most characteristic, the concomitants, and so on and so forth. We tried to follow that scheme. It's the same scheme we've been using all the way along. And at the end of the day, when you actually read what he says about this case, he says the following: this method of selecting the remedy, commonly known as the keynote symptom, was developed especially by the late H.N. Guernsey. He was an adept in detecting the symptoms peculiar to a drug and claimed that when one of these was present in a case of sickness, others belonging to the drug would also be found, which would render its choice as the curative probable. It is sometimes astonishing to find the truth of this, as was shown in a case which came into my office while this paper was being planned, the very case that we just looked at. So this was a paper that he gave at some conference or another, and he gave that exact case. What he's telling us here is that he actually probably selected that remedy based on a keynote, okay? We, however, did not rely on our keynote prescribing, although we probably could have. We tried to work it out by systematically looking at all of the symptoms. And at the end of the day, even when we eliminate, clipboard one's not there, even if we eliminate that second clipboard from our analysis, you know, Bovista is still coming through loud and clear. The numbness at night, let's get rid of that one too. I can just click that. Yeah, Bovista now fell off, but Bovista's still up there. So, you know, if you said to yourself, wow, I know it's not pulsatilla for whatever reason. Let me try, see up here in the upper left-hand corner, let me try looking at small remedies. Maybe I gave pulsatilla, didn't do anything. Fingers were still indented, so I went small remedies. Oh my goodness. The system, not only does it give me Bovista, interestingly enough, look at Ustalago is here, as is Sakali, and these are all, as we know, like fungi. Bovista is a puffball. So there's the puffy. There's that bloating. There's the puffy cheeks that felt like they were going to explode. Okay, so that's our first case. If there are questions, I will take them before we move on to a shorty, okay? Because we've only got, hopefully, got 14 minutes. Any questions? Rock and roll. We're going along then. So Guernsey family. I did not know there were so many Guernseys in homeopathy. You can look up in the Sue Young histories about that. Henry N. Guernsey. Here he is. Guernsey's keynotes. He was the first in this country to teach in the public clinics of the school the single remedy and the high potency. Who knew? Okay. In 1861, he was elected honorary member of the Hahnemann Medical Institute of Philadelphia. He was an MD, of course. The keynote system, which has now been adopted by all true lovers of homeopathy, originated with him and was strongly upheld in a work which he published in 1867. Well, I would argue that this was written some time ago. That's an old reference. Probably not all true lovers of homeopathy use the keynote system, but it's useful, right? He also wrote this applications of Principles and Practice of Homeopathy and Obstetrics. So that actually looks like a great read, and you can get that. It's on the Wayback Machine or the Time Machine if you want to, just grab one of these books and start reading. So, keynote, a symptom. Here's Yasgur again. A symptom which is so apparent or striking that it strongly suggests or points to the single remedy. For example, pain in the right shoulder blade points to chelidonium. It's funny because chelidonium was in that one with the pain between the scapula. Anyway, the predominating symptom which readily directs attention to the totality. Yeah. So with that, we're going to have another case. We're going to look at another one with the same idea in mind. So this is a case of whooping cough from E.A. Farrington. And again, we're going to run through this really quickly. This is typical of what happens though. Okay, here's the case. A little boy aged 4 years was seized with whooping cough. Boy, don't we know. It developed as a croupy cough. The mother, guided by the barking cough and sawing respiration, prescribed Spongia. Okay, very typical. This happens all the time. Then they call. This I allowed to act for 24 hours, but no relief followed. The cough, though still croupy, was accompanied with frequent and well-marked whooping, leaving no doubt as to its nature. Okay, very typical situation. Now, what do you think he's going to do? With each paroxysm, the child held his hands on the stomach. Drosera 200 was prescribed. He says, I have often helped a croupy evening cough with this remedy, and the other symptoms seemed to justify its selection. Relief was prompt, but the case was not cured. Okay, let us go to our software. And I've already saved this case, so I'm not going to bother again. I'm just going to right-click here on any one of these clipboards, and I'm going to do what it says here. Actually, I'm going to show you how I save it. I'm going to right-click. I'll save it again. Pick the first one, Save Analysis. I choose here the floppy disk, and I say patient's first name, patient's last name. I'll put today's date, 6/19/24, and this is a Bovista case. Okay, that's how I save my cases. So easy to find them again, right? All right, let's right click, clear our clipboards, reset names. So we're back to 0, and let's have a look at give me just a second here. My other computer went to sleep. Oh, here we go. Okay. Let's see how he came to Drosera. Most of us would just say, well, it's whooping cough. Let's just give Drosera, right? No, there are some actual symptoms. I'm going to make this a little bigger again now so we can see a little bit better. Yeah. All right. So remember the cough and the stomach? That's probably the oddest thing, right? So I have no idea what to do. I'm going to go into my favorite advanced search. See the pink eraser? I'm going to double click, get rid of that, and I'm going to say cough. And I'm going to say stomach. Whoops. Now, there's more than one way to get there, but searching in open repertories. And what do I get? Well, I only have the one repertory open. So here's how I get stomach and cough. Remember, what did he say? The child puts his hands on his stomach. Eructations. He doesn't really say there's pain, vomiting, stomach aggravation when coughing. Yeah, you know what? This is kind of tricky because it seems as though the key to him using the Drosera had to do with the cough and the stomach. So I'm going to try something else here. Let's just leave that search alone and let's go in here to cough. So I'm back in here and I'm going to look at hold. Look at this. Hold, grasping something, holding the abdomen ameliorates. Oh my gosh, look at that. Remember holding the chest with both hands? That's bryonia, and there it is. That is a Kunzli symptom. Okay, but let's take this one. Holding the abdomen ameliorates, pit of stomach. Oh, look, stomach pit of cough, hold the pit of the stomach ameliorates. There's the Drosera. That's why he gave it, right? This one right here. All right. That's our good old prescriber. That's E.A. Farrington. He said, what the heck? I'll give Drosera. And he also said, oh, it covers the rest of the cough. The rest of the cough was what? The rest of the cough was croupy and evening. All right. We're going to go there. Cough, croupy. Actually, I want to put that on another clipboard and cough, evening. Just so we don't make a liar out of our good old Dr. Farrington. There he is. So he had he gave Drosera, okay? But what did he also say? It provided immediate relief, but the case was not cured. Now we have a question here. Abdomen, absolutely right. And I did do a little bit of workup with the abdomen, but we're not going to go there right this very second, just in the interest of time, because I'm trying to stay on track. Oh, well, voila, there it is. Oh, I did do a workup. Stomach aggravation coughing when and abdomen aggravation coughing. You know what? Those are Boninghausen. Those are in Boninghausen's repertory, or Boger Boninghausen, I believe. So if I do the search and I search in all repertories, thank you for pointing that out. In Boger Boninghausen, stomach aggravation after coughing, or aggravation coughing when. So there's another point of aggravation when coughing, and I could do the same thing then here and go to abdomen aggravation coughing. Okay, I could really take, and there's your Drosera biggest life right there in the Boger Boninghausen repertory. Okay, so that makes more complete what I had already chosen. Okay, so we're trying to justify Dr. Farrington, right? But then what he says is, well, that didn't do the trick, right? So what else is remaining in the case? A week later, the little fellow suffered from repeated night paroxysms, each of which culminated in profuse nosebleed. Okay, nosebleed, epistaxis. The blood was dark and stringy. Okay, let us take a look at those symptoms. Let us go back to our, there we go. Cough, accompanied by epistaxis, by nose. There it is. I was typing incorrectly. There we go. There's our, oh my gosh, it's still Drosera, huh? Epistaxis and whooping cough. Look, oh my goodness, it should be there, right? Why didn't that Drosera do the trick? Well, let's take a look here. So yeah, he had the cough with the nosebleed, but he also had the blood was dark and stringy. So let us go now to nose, epistaxis, blood. This is where you're going to find all the kinds of blood that come with the nosebleed. And what did we say it was? Dark. There. It's got to be in there, but it's also so terribly odd, stringy. Look over here. Here's stringy. Okay, let's take that one too. And now, pulling together the entire cough, we have the curative remedy. Somewhere. Where's my curative remedy? Keynote is the stringy blood. And where's my remedy? That's so odd. Hold on. Oh, I had to limit. I had to take that clipboard number 4 and really narrow it down. Now, and unless you want to look at this and you want to say, well, I'd like to give phosphorus or I'd like to give lachesis, that would be all well and good. But you know what? The stringy blood. Remember, this is supposed to be another example of keynote prescribing. So I'm going to just go ahead. I've selected both of those. I'm going to right click and I'm going to turn them both into an eliminative rubric. There we go. There's the remedy. Anybody want to now venture a guess as to what he gave in the curative remedy here? We got 2 minutes. Come on. Stringy blood. Holding the pit of the stomach. Yep. Okay. Somebody likes to play ball here. Let's see. Calibic, crocus, Calibic. It's drum roll. Okay, what's the argument for Calibic here? Yeah, it's a good thought. And it has a dark stringy blood, but look at the crocus. See, Calibic is not there with the stomach so terribly much, but the crocus of all things, that is the remedy. Okay? Because and only because of the dark string. Well, I shouldn't say only because, but primarily the dark stringy blood. Let's take a look here. Oh, another of the same thing. I guess I better tidy up my screenshots here a little. There we go. Crocus sativus 500 was given a dose every 2 hours. This remedy was also suited other symptoms of the child. Violent, exhausting, dry cough relieved by laying the hand on the pit of the stomach. Large quantities of mucus expectorated. Thankfully, the cure was speedy. This little screenshot here I want to show you now. Okay? This is it. We are wrapping up. So what I did is I set up cough, stomach, and crocus because I really wanted to say, is he for real? Cough, stomach, let's look at crocus. Now, see what I did is I went over here to the remedies search field and I put in crocus sativus, and now I'm going to search in all repertories and watch what comes up. Okay. I've got all kinds of repertories. This is just synthesis adonis, emptiness with cough, laying the hand on the pit of the stomach ameliorates, pressure on the stomach ameliorates. This is very characteristic of the remedy crocus. Okay. Awesome. Yeah. Wasn't that like a really awesome case, you guys? Yeah, it just kind of all worked out. So this is me again. I'm so grateful to have your attendance here today. I'm wishing you every success, and I do hope you'll come back when we do more of these. If you are interested in doing a small group training with doing more of these kinds of things, reach out. Let me know. Again, I'm at chicohomeopathy.com, and we are here at Radar Opus and Radar Opus North America. Really happy to have you. I think there's a sale going on. I'm not a sales geek by any means. I'm definitely a repertory geek, but I would encourage you to have a look. Let them know if you like these classes. And yeah, I'm so grateful. I hope to see all you guys in the coming months and years. Where do you find the handout? Great question, Shannon. I'm going to prepare the handout and I'm going to send it over to Nakash, who is at the orders and customer service desk. So it's, let me show you here. What does this say? Contact support, radaropus.us. Let's open the link. Let's see if we can go there. And maybe, just maybe, you'll see. Yeah, sales support right here. Orders at radaropus.us. You see where it says training? You see where it says free on-demand videos. If you want to watch some of my more basic ones, you can choose that. And then go to this part of the page. It's taking forever. If you put my name in there, then you'll see like my series of getting started videos and some other stuff like that. Yeah, so like right here, because there's so many videos, you'll get lost, but you put Marci, M-A-R-C-I, and voila, there are your getting started where you can go over like some basic stuff. Okay?
Marcy, I have a question.
Yeah.
Have a minute for that? If you go back to the software,
Yes.
what's the purpose of making those two lines green at the end? I missed that. I'm so sorry.
Green at the end. Oh, you're talking about in our analysis here? Yes.
Here.
Well, here's the thing. Let me ungreen them now. When they've been turned green, they are what you call an eliminative rubric, right? So I can select the rubric, right click, and oops, I'm so sorry, change the qualification. So I'll put it back to normal and watch what happens to my analysis now. Okay, nausea, for example, came back. Why? Because this is no longer restricting my analysis. Okay, here, this one now is also been set as an elimination. I'll set it back to normal. All right, now I've got a very big analysis that comprises, are you seeing what I did?
No, I actually I get that now. What that does, it limits the remedies to only what's in that rubric.
Exactly. And so if I decided, if this is a keynote case and I know that it's got to be in stringy blood, I'm going to right click and I'm going to turn that into an eliminative rubric. And I'm only interested in this set of remedies. Out of all the work that I did, this is where it lands. You have to be very careful when you do that, because you don't want to restrict, you don't want to select the wrong filter and mess yourself up. But yes, that's exactly what it is. I could also say if it's epistaxis with whooping cough and I right click on that one and turn that into an eliminative, that's not a bad selection either. If I'm certain that I will solve my case or assist my patient with only a remedy in that particular rubric. Now that's indeed an interesting one, isn't it? Because it's a Hunsley rubric, but there are also other symptoms that are connected. So you've got to be very careful with the epistaxis and whooping cough. Okay. That's a great question. And hopefully that was clarifying for people. Yeah.
Sure. One last question. That makes sense. The other thing is, when we change the intensity, 2 or 3 or some higher number, what does that do in that case?
Okay. Well, let's do this. I'm going to turn this one back normal. Okay. Yeah. So yeah. Everything's flat. And now what I'm going to do, and this is a trick that I often do. Remember if we said I only want the stringy blood? I can let me type a number 6 on there just now. All of a sudden, you see that all of the stringy blood remedies moved up to the top.
Got it.
Without me having to go through the right click and all that other stuff. Or I could say, let me make it a 9. And now I'm fairly certain that I just with one keystroke, I can now look at this way. And then I can also say, I don't care about that one. I'm going to get rid of it. And then I can say, I also don't care about evening. Let me get rid of that. They're still there, but I only care about, whooping cough, epistaxis, give that a 5. You see how you can just move things around here? Or if I say it's got to be in this set here, it's got to have something to do with the stomach. Okay, here's how I would handle that. First of all, I choose them all. I'm going to group them together. Remember, we just give it a letter of the alphabet. So they're now considered one symptom. And then I'm going to say, all right, it's got to be in this group. I can either type a high number, or better yet, in this case, I'll just turn that into a filter or an eliminative rubric. And now everything that I've got here belongs to this stomach abdomen situation, if you get my drift.
That makes a lot of sense. Thank you so much.
Okay. Excellent. Yeah, you're welcome. Those are great questions. And, I know that we've run over now. Would I repeat where to find this session? I wish I could, Pamela. it's nowhere to be found at present. I believe it's going to be posted, and normally they will send out some kind of an announcement saying, you know, the session's now been posted. So if you don't get that notification, again, reach out to Nakash at, where is he here? Oh, not there. He's at the radaropus.us. That's our website there, orders at radaropus.us, or you could call this number and they'll get you set up with that. Okay. Anybody else? Well, thank you guys. That was really fun. And again, I wish you all the very best. Feel free to be in touch and hopefully see you soon. Okay. Bye, everyone. Thank you.